First, I would like to thank our Senate budgeteers, Senator Seth Lewis, Senator Sally Turner, Senator Don DeWitt, and the longtime captain of our budget team, Senator Chapin Rose, for all their hard work, their commitment and dedication to ensuring that our voices and our input were shared throughout this process. We appreciate the partnership with President Harmon, Leader Sims, and your budget team. I thank you for listening to our caucus's priorities and taking department by department feedback from our budgeteers on ways to improve state government for the people we represent. This work would not be possible without the support and expertise of our policy and budget staffs from both sides of the aisle, who show up every day to make our state a better place for the people of Illinois. Thank you, all of you, for sharing your talent and your time with us. I know these aren't traditional working hours, and the sacrifices you make in your lives outside of this building are the truest form of public service. Throughout this budget process, we have brought forth many positive proposals, some of which are included in this final product. The inclusion of these items is a testament of the positive impact that our caucus can have by showing up and fully participating in the process. They are also proof that the people are better served when both parties are at the table. We've also continued to introduce legislation and budget priorities throughout this year to help counter Governor Pritzker's misplaced priorities. Instead of supporting measures to reduce parental choice, we introduced policies to help parents keep their kids safe, like Deputy Leader Rezin's Safe Screens, Healthy Minds initiative, and Senator Harris's legislation to require age verification to enter adult websites to better protect our children on the internet. Instead of more taxes on Illinois families, we supported Senator Tracy's child care tax credit, Senator Bennett's bill to save and invest in kids, and caucus initiatives to reduce property taxes and eliminate the estate tax to help working families keep more of their hard-earned dollars. Instead of renaming criminal offenders to justice-impacted individuals, we want to help victims of domestic violence through Senator McClure's legislation to increase penalties for violating orders of protection and give victims more time to get away from their abusers with my proposed modifications in the pretrial presumption. We stood together as a caucus to defend those who cannot defend themselves by supporting increased funding for our developmentally and intellectually disabled adults and our calls for reform and greater oversight of DCFS. We've tried to save lives with legislation to help get fentanyl off our streets and better protect victims of stalking. These aren't right-wing talking points. These are real solutions for the most challenging and persistent problems facing average Illinoisans. They are common sense policies to help make Illinois a better place to work, live, and raise a family. And an example of how Republicans are here to do the serious work to move this state forward. We were disappointed that these policies were given little consideration in the legislative and budget processes, and the governor's proposed budget, inflated with press release programs and non-citizen welfare spending, remains largely intact from when first introduced. While this budget is undeniably complicated, the message the governor is sending with it could not be more clear. He's raising taxes on the people of Illinois who are already struggling to afford basic needs, and the many job creators fighting hard to keep people employed to pay for the migrant crisis that he has created. Unfortunately for Illinois taxpayers, Governor Pritzker's political ambitions to position himself on the national stage as the country's most progressive governor has far exceeded state tax revenues. So did Governor Pritzker go back to the drawing board, reduce spending, and end his policies that have created the largest migrant crisis in the Midwest? No. Instead, he doubled down, expanded programs, increased state spending, and now today is raising taxes on Illinois families and job creators to pay for it. And that is still not enough, as the governor is also raiding the road fund and other dedicated capital diversions. These tax hikes are even more unjust when you consider we still have no idea how how much he is spending on the migrant crisis he created. For months, Governor Pritzker has refused repeated personal and legislative requests to provide a full, transparent accounting of his non-citizen spending. President Biden's refusal to secure our nation's border, coupled with Governor Pritzker's quest to use non-citizen welfare policies to propel himself on the national stage, is playing itself out in this very budget before us. It is patently unfair to require Illinois taxpayers to fund their joint failure. This is not leadership. The people of our state deserve a governor who is going to stand up and fight for them, not use their tax dollars to further their personal ambitions for notoriety and higher office. A budget isn't just a spending plan, but a concrete list of priorities. Governor Pritzker's budget before us today prioritizes newly arrived non-citizens over the taxpayers that everyone in this room was elected to represent. I have great respect for this chamber and for all the senators that serve in it. While our backgrounds, platforms, and worldviews oftentimes are very different, I truly believe that each and every one of us is here with one common goal: to improve the lives of the people we represent. I believe now, as I did at the beginning of this process, that the people of our state are better served when we all work together on their behalf. My colleagues and I will continue to look for ways to work towards common goals and to lift up our many diverse communities throughout this state, and will be steadfast in our commitment to making people, rather than politics, our top priority. Sadly, I believe the budget we are voting on here today is a missed opportunity to push back on the governor's misguided agenda. In closing, while I'm disappointed at the final adoption of the governor's proposal, and I will be voting no, I will not give up on our efforts to create a less partisan, more collaborative approach to state government. Thank you, Mr. President.